Okay. All right. So what we have here, obviously, are a bunch of crests, right? You could clearly see a whole lot of crests because one of the things I've been wondering in recent times is why do we have so many different crests, so many different variations, this whole plethora of crests? Like, what's up with that? It's not. I'm not really understanding why so many different variations of our crest exist. I just can't figure it out. You know. So actually, a few years ago, I tried to obtain some information about what our crest really was supposed to be. What does it really look like? And was it purple or was it white or did we use both? But I never got any. I never got any definitive information. Matter of fact, the conclusion I left with was that no one really knows, which that's not surprising because then that's why you end up with all of this because surely no one knows. Because I think if there was if that was known, then this wouldn't exist. And this is just some of what I managed to grab to to load on this onto this page because there I've seen others, you know. But this one right here, this one right here is the one that's in the chapel, obviously. One of the things that kind of jump out at me with this one is that these the book and the dog they kind of look like real photographs, and the other thing is that they're in color. They don't look like drawing, especially the book. It doesn't look like a drawing. It looks too elaborate to be a drawing. But they're in color, which means that they're not as old as we might think that they are, because if they were that old, they wouldn't be in color. They would be in black and white. But why I'm concerned about why that they seem like photographs, I'll come back to that later. Now, these right here, actually, let me zoom out a bit because these three I kind of group them together because they're really the same crest. It's the same crest. I mean, the same meaning. It's the same elements that's on it. Nothing is different. If you look at the dog, the pineapples, the book, it's the same exact thing on all of them. So the only difference with them is just color. This one, this yellow thing, and the bluish looking purple. Matter of fact, at one point, I thought this one right here, I thought this was the original crest. That's what I thought, so I don't know. Uh, this one right here looks like it has some kind of tint, some kind of, not tint, yeah, has some grayish kind of tint over it. But what I was gonna say was that it looks like it has some kind of effect, like someone put some effect to it, which I kind of think would have looked pretty cool. Yeah, but one of the things though that you know stand out is the jagginess around it. I don't know why it looks like that so wretchedly jaggy. I don't know. But this one we see this one a lot. Actually, this is the one that we see on the Schools Challenge quiz. This is the one that's used as our profile. This pink. This actually looks like magenta. So if you go on Google Images and type in magenta, this is what you come up with. Which is like a pink, a washed out kind of red, which is pink. So yeah, every time I see the quiz, I hate that because I know our crest is not supposed to be pink. So because I think the color should be what it is. It shouldn't be something else. Now this one says Florida chapter, but I don't think it means that they are responsible for it. I don't think that's what this means. I think this means that this probably came from some magazine or something like that this was on. So I think that's what it is. But what you could see is that this one looks completely different, right? Different dog. The pineapples, clearly different. They are different. The book, clearly different. The banner at the bottom is clearly different, and this has typewritten words, right? The previous ones, the words look kind of. It's not. These aren't typewritten. This look like a hand, some hand drawing or whatever you might call it. Calligraphy. I think that's what it is. So that one is different, and then this one is this one is completely different. Actually, this one I got from this one I scanned this one. I scanned it from says right here 1978 school magazine. I borrowed this one from somebody and scanned. This was on the back cover, and I noticed with a lot of these 70s magazines they use this crest, right? But this one is even more pink. This is like hot pink. And everything on this one is different. The dog is different. Now the dog is facing us as opposed to the previous ones where he's looking to the left. The pineapples are different. The book is different. And one of the things with this, everything about this is different. Even the overall shape is different than the previous ones, right? You can see where this one is a bit more. This one is longer. It's more elongated, right? Everything about that is different. Okay, then I group these four together also. That they're pretty much similar. I'm not zooming too much. They're pretty much similar. These two right here, the first two are pretty much the same. I prove it. Okay, this one is a little bit different. Color is different. It's kind of more bluish, and it's longer vertically, right? The border is thicker than the other ones, and this one is the same thing. It's actually the same as the first two. It's the same thing, right? Again, very jaggy and very jaggy. I don't know why some of these crests look so jaggy. I don't know. It looks very ugly like that. But these two, this one is just kind of squished in, kind of like that, right? This one is kind of more stretched out, like that. So if I should take this one and stretch it out, it should look just like the other one. Right? See, it's the same thing, right? But while those four are the same, they are still different from the previous ones. One of the things that's way different with those four is the dog. The dog, look at this one especially. The dog looks like a bunny. Got a little rabbit sitting right there. They're different from the previous ones. Okay, now this one. This one I scanned from the history book. This was on a page inside the history book. This one is also different, right? Dog is is lean, kind of like he's sliding off backwards, right? Pineapples are different, and they're overlapping each other, right? And the book is different. Also, the shape of that one is different again, right? That one is more slender than the previous ones. Okay, this other one, another one that's different. Look at the corners at the top, completely different. Different book, different pineapples. This one is just completely different. Even the pineapples, they don't even look like real pineapples. It's just completely different. These ones are, come back to that. That's kind of different ball game altogether. All right. So these next four right here, I kind of group these together also because these are really coming from the same thing. These four right here. So let's start with this first one right here. So the first one I kind of came in contact with in over here in New York, right? I think what happened with this one was sent out or whatever, some place did this to obtain a vector image, a vectorized crest. I know some of you might not know what I mean by vector, but if I have the time, I'll come back to that. But I could look at this and kind of just tell what may have happened. They probably just took they probably just took this one, right? And they probably just ran it through some kind of software to make it vector, which it would have made it into a vector, yes, but what it also did was just grossly distort the elements on it. Now, I don't even need to zoom in because you could already see it. The dog looks really funny, very funny. And the pineapples are also kind of strange looking, and the book also is strange looking. The banner down here is strange looking, right? It's just not as realistic looking as the previous ones, right? You could go to the previous ones and see, right? So the book, this right here, there's no mistaking that this is a book with words on it, right? In fact, it even looks like a Bible. This one doesn't look like a Bible. It looks like a hymnal. This one looks like a hymn book, right? But you could clearly see that it's a book. And then look at the banner down here. See the way it curves? You could tell it's a banner. It looks realistic, right? Yeah. This one doesn't. This one has the lines in the book, which it doesn't. It doesn't look realistic, and the banner don't look realistic. The pineapple look funny. So this next one is the first one I had anything to do with, and which wasn't really much, because all that I did was I took the dog right here, and I changed it into this one right here, right? It wasn't magic. I mean, I'm not into some kind of habit of changing dogs by some kind of process. What I did was I took this one, right? I just opened this in Adobe Illustrator, and you could use your pen tool and just retrace the dog, which it shouldn't be as difficult as it ended up being, because as you could see right here, you could the more you increase the size, it starts to get really blurry, and to do something like that you have to really zoom in, right? You would have to zoom in like about that, and you could see, I mean, trying to retrace this is like, I can't really explain the level of that kind of challenge, but I just did the best that I could, which I think wasn't bad, and I ended up with this. And that was the only thing I did. Everything else is pretty much the same, except the top of it now was changed to purple, which was just a click, because with this one being a vector, right? Vector means that you could now change things. You could just click right here and you select it, right? And then you just change the color, and then you click this slant thing and you select it and you change that color. And that's all this one was. So that's it. This full purple one I did this, right? But I did this a lot later. In fact, I did this, you know what, I don't know exactly when, but it's a lot later, because this was done from around 2011, right? This one was a few years later that I did this. And the reason I changed the color was I realized that this color was not really correct, you know. This is a bluish, very flat, deadish type of bluish purple, and that's not a royal purple actually, you know. It's kind of blue. This one is more, I could even show you that it's kind of blue. This eyedropper thing samples the color. The color pops up right here. This is my color picker. If you ignore the larger window and look at this color bar right here, right? As soon as you select the color, this little thing right here shows you exactly where that specific shade of color sit within this whole color spectrum. It also, you probably shouldn't be looking at this on your phone. And I know a lot of you people like to use your phone. You should use your computer, because if you're using your phone, trust me, you won't see what I'm showing you. Usually when I'm doing stuff, I use my computer as much as I can. I avoid my phone. I'm not even a phone person like that. But if you look at this bar right here, there's also two arrows at the side, and that also indicates to you where that color sits along this color bar. Now, where these two arrows are located, and with this window right here, I can't enlarge it. So these arrows are sitting right in a section where it still looks blue, right? It still looks blue. And even in this larger window, right? If you look to the right of where this color is, you'd see what you see is just blue, complete blue. But if I was to click on this color right here, right? I still have my sampler. And when I click on it, you're going to see the difference over here. Look at that, okay? So you see, to the right of where this color lies on the spectrum, there's no longer any blue. And if you go back to this bar right here, right? The arrows have moved out of the section that looks blue, and they're in a section now that just looks generally purple. So it's a big difference actually. Yeah. This one is the same thing. It's just washed out. I'm not sure why it looks like that. I don't think someone did it deliberately. I don't think it was done by someone. I think it's probably just the media it's been through or whatever that's just caused that dramatic change. Alright. This one, I've been seeing this one over the last few weeks. Matter of fact, I think the first time I saw this was when the Super Cup started, because this was what they had on like the Flow website. This was the crest that they had for us in advertising our games. One of the things with this crest is that this crest now has on real real photographic pineapples. You know, everything about this crest is different, right? The dog is different dog. You can see completely different dog, different book, right? This book now has a book marker. None of the previous books had a book marker, but the pineapples is what really stand out immediately. Real photographs. So that's kind of why I was referring to the elements and these looking as if they were real photographs. Because you see, the thing is, I don't think a crest uses photographic elements. A crest, as far as I know, is something that is hand drawn, right? It doesn't use photographs. Come back down to this. And you see the strange thing with this now is that, you see, if the crest utilize photographic elements, right, then it's kind of odd that the pineapples are photographs. But in other words, shouldn't the dog also be a photograph, and shouldn't the book also be a photograph in the interest of consistency? It's not. It's just like when I look at this crest, it just looks really, really funny. Yeah. But I've been seeing it everywhere in recent times. So here's another one. Now this is a it's a bit of merchandise. No, this one also has real photographs. I'm sorry, why I keep saying real photographs? Well, yeah, I'm not really wrong, but the pineapples specifically are real photographs. But one of the things I noticed with that one, the dog on this is also different. It's a different dog. The outline looks kind of similar to these, but it's a different dog. Right? It's the same book. It's kind of odd because with both of these, you could see it's the same outline that's being used, right? It's the same outline. And remember, this outline is coming from this one right here. This one that I said was vectorized someplace. It's the same exact outline being used on this one. You could see it. You could see the letters, right? It's the same banner. Thing is the same as far as the outline. It's just that the elements on it are changed, right? And it's the same thing with this one. It's the same outline, but no, this one has a different dog on it, and this one has photographic pineapples. Now, funny enough, while this one to the left, actually let me put these closer together so put my screen better. Alright, this one to the left has real photographs, this one to the right has real photographs, but it's not the same photographs, right? Or actually, it's hard for me to tell whether they're the same, but they're not the same size, they're not structured the same way, and this one to the right has more space, the pineapples are smaller, this one to the right, to the left, the pineapples are bigger. You know, it's just, I don't know, I don't get the difference with all these things. But as I said, I don't think a crest uses real photographs. I don't know of that. A crest to me is something that is drawn. It's something that is illustrated, right? Hand drawn, and the word usually is done by hand, calligraphy. Now, this one down here is the this credit card that I came with recently. The crest on this is different. I mean, I don't mean it's different because it's a bit three-dimensional and it's kind of skewed to the right. It's different because the pineapples on it are different, and it's a different book, and the banner down here is different. This is a different crest, a completely different crest. This one is from a t-shirt, different crest again, completely different pineapples. Now, this one is the one that is on the school gate, and for me personally, this is another funny looking one. This crest just looks completely different, right? It's a different book. Pineapples are orange, and it's a completely different dog. Completely different dog. Completely different. As a matter of fact, I just noticed something. This one you could say is the opposite of this one. Opposite of this one. What I mean by that is that this one is purple at the top and white at the bottom, right? This one is white at the top and purple at the bottom. It's opposite. But I don't know, that one for me personally just looks kind of funny. Very funny actually. Now, this is a crest now that's on the front facade of the school, right? That's it right there, larger, and it's a glow in the dark. This is it in the night where it lights up, which is pretty cool. I like that, and I like that type of thinking. That's the kind of thinking that I like, you know. But one of the things you could see clearly, right, is that crest is either the same. I can't tell. Well, it is the same crest actually. It's the same as this, right? But it's the same as far as color. And it's the same crest, right? It's not necessarily the same file, but it's the same crest, and that's the same thing. It's done the same way, right? It's the same thing, you know. The color, the yellow color is not in the pineapple, but apart from that, it's the same exactly. But you see, one of the things that I find odd with these two crests, right? These two crests right here, this one on the gate and this one on the front facade of the school. I'm wondering, why is it that there's a different crest on the wall right here, different one there on Well, this one was on the gate and a different one on the wall. I mean, shouldn't it be the same? I mean, it's the same school, right? So shouldn't it be the same exact crest that's on the gate, right, as the one on the wall? Why is it? Why is there two different crests affixed pretty much at the entrance? Because one is on the gate and one is on the wall. It, for me personally, that's not making much sense. It should be the same crest. Should it not be the same crest? Why are there two different crests? It's just I don't get it. Just that's not making much sense. Let's go back up to these. This is the champ's flag. You know, I won't really be too picky with this. It's probably made by students, so I won't really be too picky. I just think we need to move away from these kind of things where these things look so crooked looking. You see how this thing is so crooked looking? This is this kind of same. This is the same kind of thing. This was on the this is on the pavilion, the gym building. You know, this crooked looking drawing. You know, I don't know why it looks like. I personally would prefer to see something that's like a sign that's done professionally that you could screw onto the wall. You know, rather than this kind of. Not to offend anyone or anything. You know, it's just I personally just don't. I don't like seeing things like that. See, one of the things with these whole heap of different crests, if you should go on Google and type in like Jamaica College, really you might just see 5 different crests, right? And you might say, well, there's only 3 here. Well, because the other 2 is the same as one of these here. So then it's only 3. And while these might, I could say these are different, you would really have to look hard to see the difference. Because the one in the center right here, you probably can't even see it. But it's kind of a little bit more washed out than the other ones. This one at the right, this one to the right, is a brighter blue. Right? It's a brighter blue, and that's it. And this one to the left, this yellow thing, this dragon griffin, demonic looking character, brighter yellow. You could see it, it's a brighter yellow, right? But apart from that, if you look at it closely, right? I've spoken about always having crests where the elements on it are different, or always being as such. These, if you look at them, the elements on them, even this little thing that I can't make out right here, kind of looks like some kind of little teddy bear sitting right here. I know it's not a teddy bear, but it kind of looks that way to me. I don't know what it is. But all the elements on them are the same. They don't change. Nothing is different. The only thing is different with them is the color, which means that they're not different. And then, as I indicated earlier, with one of ours, it's probably just the medium that they've been through that has caused some variation with the color. So they don't have no whole heap of different crests with these whole heap of different something. And it's the same thing with St. George's. Now, you might look at it and say, well, I see some difference. Somebody might have just played around depending on what they were using it for and put a shadow behind this one and a darker shadow behind this one. But the only major difference with these crests is that if you look at these two, right? Look at this one to the left. This one is flipped around, right? This one right here, the center, is flipped around. I mean, flipped around meaning, let's compare these two, right? The one to this one and this one to the right, right? This one to the right is flipped around. Flipped around meaning that whereas with this one to the left, right? The blue is on the left and the white is on the right. With this one, the white is on the left and the blue is on the right. It's kind of, and because of that, no, the knight and the dragon right here, the colors would have to be changed. They're changed to red. So yeah, it's flipped around. It's the same thing with, pretty much the same thing with our crest, like with these two right here. It's flipped around, right? This one, right? This thing, this slanted portion is purple and the rest of it is white, while this one, the slanted portion is white and the rest of it is purple. It's flipped around, right? But you see, the thing with these people, you don't see them having these whole heap of different crests, this whole heap of different stuff like what we have, you know. And it's pretty, their thing is pretty standard, which I would think that's how it should be. It's another example of the differences with our crest. Now, zoom in more. Okay, this picture right here, it's a picture from some guys in the quiz, the school challenge quiz. I cut off the head because it's I'm not focusing on who the persons were specifically, but if you look at the crest, you can see that the crest is an outline on the blazer, right? But then this is a student sitting right here with a crest on his pocket, and the crest is not an outline. It's filled in with white, you know. So it's why the inconsistency, why one is an outline but one is not an outline, you know. Now you find the same thing right here. This is the Manning Cup jersey for this season that's just ended, right? See the crest? It's a solid crest, right? This was a champs jersey for last year. This is not a solid crest, right? It's an outline. So why the difference? Why in one case it's solid and another case it's an outline? If it's solid, then it should be solid, and if it's an outline, it should be an outline. But why is it, you know, why we keep switching back between being solid and being outline? Now this one is an outline, it's a different crest. Which makes this kind of funnier. This is a different crest again. This one should be on the other page. A different crest, right? And a pinkish type of color. This one again is an outline and it's a different crest. So look at this. This is an outline and this is one crest, right? This is an outline and this is a different crest. And this is an outline. And again, this is a different crest. It's just not making any sense. It's not making no kind of sense. No, I personally don't think that the crest should be an outline. I could be wrong, but I don't believe it should be an outline. It should be solid, but I'm not even sure if it should be white, because if I move to this window, right, this image is the same image from the previous page. I just drag it over here, right? It's the outline crest. So this was one of the champs jerseys sold last year, right? So that's a white. What you have there is a white outline on a purple shirt, which means that in the inside of the crest there's no color, right? It's the same color of the fabric. So the dog that's there is just suspended in nothing, and the book is suspended in nothing. But then if you look at the pineapples are not suspended in nothing. Their pineapples would have been sitting on a white background, right? So again, it's not consistent. And that's the reason I don't believe that the crest should be an outline, because the dog and the book couldn't be, because a dog can't defy gravity and just suspend himself in air, right? So this is where this picture comes in, right? It's a picture from 1956. This was I didn't put the notation, but this is a Sunlight Cup winning team from 1956. Now, I don't know if you're able to see it, because the quality that you're looking at it at, based on what I'm doing here, might not allow you to see what I'm seeing. But if this thing is, that's too big. Alright, narrow that down. If you should look at these crests specifically, right? This one right here, this one right here. I mean, you could see that this is a black and white picture, right? You could see that the area on the inside of the crest, right? Especially in this one right here, see the one to the right. You can see that the area on the inside of the crest is darker than the area outside of the crest, which is the jacket. Now, you know from common sense that while this is a black and white picture, the blazers are not black, they're purple, right? So what that is telling you is that this blazer is purple and the area on the inside of the crest is darker. It means that the crest itself is a purple that was darker than the jacket. That's all that means. So it was not an outline, and not only was it not an outline, it was filled in. Not only was it filled in, it was not filled in like this, where this is filled in with white. It clearly is filled in with purple, which we have not seen a crest like that in a long time. In fact, I've never seen a crest like that. But clearly, this was how these crests were in 1956. Clearly, pictures don't lie. I did say that if I had time, I would explain what the vector means. Right? I mean, we hear it a lot. Most people don't know what that means. But so I said this one was supposed to have been a vector file, right? All of these right here are vector too, because they all came from this one, right? Most of these files right here are, I shouldn't say files, I call them files because I had them as files, and I drag them off the internet or wherever I drag them from, and when I drag them off, then they become a file. It's a JPEG file, and then I put them onto this page. Some of these are drag off of Facebook, but all of these are JPEG images, right? Now, while you might be looking at these on a white background, it don't mean that the crest, it don't mean that the shape of the crest is isolated from the background. If you don't know what I mean, alright, I don't really want to do too much here, but let me draw a box right here, right? It's a purple box. Alright, it's in front of the crest, so that's why you're not seeing them. Put it behind. Drop it in the background. Alright, now the box is behind the crest. So you see that? That's what I'm saying. All of these crests, they have a white background, right? So while you might look at this crest right here specifically, you might think that you're just seeing the crest by itself, but that's because the background is white. The background in this document is white, but if I should put this purple background behind the crest, then you see that the crest has a purple, the crest has a white background on it, right? So if you're using this crest, and you see it a lot with some of the things that people do, you would see this crest with the white background on it, which might not be what you want, right? You want it like these down here now. See, this one right here, it doesn't have a white background. It's just what it is. The shape is just isolated by itself, right? So, oh, I deleted the wrong thing. That's because these are coming from vector images, vector files. if I should go to Illustrator, right? This crest right here to the left, that's a vector file. This one right here to the right, that's just a normal JPEG image. It's not a vector file. I could just show you real quick. My keyboard, I press Apple Y, and I see the wireframe, which is like an X-ray, and you see the lines that make up the crest, right? Every vector file looks like that. If you notice, the one to the right, there's nothing there because there's no lines that makes it up. It's just a photograph, right? And on the vector file, you could change it, right? You could change the color. You could change every part of it. Right? Or you could just take it apart. Do anything you want with it. Because it's just made up of lines. It's made up of lines. It's not a JPEG like other files that you just grab from the internet in a JPEG. This one is made up of lines. Everything about this is the lines that makes it up. Right? But on a serious level though, something needs to be done. What I think the crest needs to be redone from a standpoint of someone who knows how to draw these things and all that. Need to just, and I don't mean somebody need to take it upon themselves and do it, you know. I mean it officially, it has to be commissioned out to get done properly, and then you have one official crest, or if you use two, let's say we have the unique ability of using both a white crest and a purple crest, because actually I think that might be pretty cool, because sometimes depending on how you're applying it, you know, via your promotions or your merchandising or whatever, it might suit you based on application to have a white one, which might work better if you're putting it on a purple fabric or whatever, or a purple one if you're putting it on something white. It might work best that way, you know. So I just think it needs to be redone. This whole thing look like a kind of a free-for-all type of thing, which I don't like. And I think that's how we end up with all of these. It's like some kind of free-for-all. But, you know, something needs to be done about this. Can't go on like this, you know. So this lasted longer than I expected it to. I don't know if, well, you know, I appreciate whoever took the time to watch and to listen. And that's all I gotta say. Peace out.